Government of Saskatchewan.
Good afternoon. My name is Mike Morris, and I'm counsel for the Government of Saskatchewan. Minister, spoiler alert, I hope to get you to agree with me as much as my colleague did just a couple of minutes ago. I guess we'll see where we get to. But Minister, I think I can start out with some easy ones. You're familiar with Farm Credit Canada, which is a federal crown corporation. Is that fair?
Not intimately, but I know it exists.
You grew up on the prairies. It used to be called Farm Credit Corporation. If I call it FCC, you'll understand what I mean. Is that fair?
Yes.
Okay. And are you aware that FCC is headquartered in Regina?
Yes.
Okay. And that it provides loans to farmers, correct?
Yes.
And Farm Credit Canada would have been a financial institution subject to the Emergency Economic Measures Order, correct?
I believe so.
And if I just call that the order, you'll understand what I mean. Is that fair?
Yes.
Okay. I want to refer you to an article from Farmers Forum, which is self-described as the largest circulation farm newspaper in Ontario. So I'm going to ask the clerk to pull up a document. It's POEC SAS 703. And just while we're pulling this up, it's a May 3rd, 2022 article from Farmers Forum entitled, "Read the Documents, Farm Credit Compiled List of 9 Names for Possible Blacklisting." So we can see that on the screen there now. And I'm just going to read from the first 3 paragraphs of the article. So we'll just have to go down there. Perfect. Farm Credit Canada compiled a list of 9 people to be potentially blacklisted because of possible participation in the Freedom Convoy protest in February, according to internal FCC emails acquired by Farmer Forum through an access to information request. The access to information documents revealed that FCC employees were instructed to report the names of customers who were involved in the Freedom Convoy in Ottawa after the Emergencies Act was enacted on Feb 14. The Federal Lending Agency compiled a list of 9 people by viewing Twitter accounts and online media posts, as well as drawing from conversations with customers. Now, I expect we can agree that it's not surprising that FCC instructed its employees to report in this manner because FCC was required to do so under the terms of the order. Is that fair?
Well, maybe not entirely. And I will say I am reading this news report for the first time as I see it on my screen. So my response is a little bit limited. But even in the paragraphs that you've displayed for us, there is a misunderstanding if this email is genuine. And I'm just saying because I haven't seen it, right? And
we
reporting
can look at
is
the emails.
No. Reporting is a hard thing to do. I used to be a reporter, but the email that is reported on here saying if the federal government directs us to, that is a misunderstanding of how the order worked. We were always very conscious that it wasn't the job of the federal government or the Ministry of Finance to name specific names or to even know which names were involved.
Understood.
The way the order worked was that was to be a communication between law enforcement and the financial institutions. And I know it's not my job to ask you to agree with me, but I hope you will agree with me that that was appropriate, that elected ministers shouldn't be involved in naming specific names. So that was a misunderstanding.
I think we should look at the documents referred to from that access to information request. So I'm going to ask the clerk to bring up POEC SAS 704. And these are the documents which were obtained by Farmers Forum and that are referred to in this article. And I'm just going to ask that we go to the third page of this PDF, please. There, perfect. So we can see this is an email with a subject line, how the Emergencies Act affects FCC. And it's to operations field staff dated February 23rd, 2022. So I'd just like us to scroll down to the third paragraph, please. Stop there. The third paragraph begins, if you become aware of potential customer involvement in blockades, occupations, and other supportive activity related to the Freedom Convoy, you must submit a tip to the Customer Diligence Center, brackets CDC. So this is the morning of February 23rd, and we know that the order was no longer in place later that day because, of course, the emergency declaration was revoked on February 23rd later that day. Is that fair, Minister?
Yes, exactly.
Oh, okay. I'd just like us to scroll down to page 5 of the PDF now, please. And this should be an email dated February 25th. Yes, there it is. So we see this is an email dated February 25th with the subject Emergencies Act customers identified. And the content of the email indicates that the sender is telling the recipient that they'd like to follow up regarding customers that have been identified as possibly participating in the 2022 Freedom Convoy. So we've agreed, I think, or we can agree that as of February 25th, there was no requirement under the order to conduct this follow-up. Is that fair?
So let me say a couple of things. First of all, I'm seeing this email now for the first time, and as far as I know, it had nothing to do with me.
Understood.
Second of all, it's certainly the case that the order was ceased to apply after February 23rd. And maybe the third thing for people who are listening that it's worth pointing out is all the accounts were unfrozen around that time.
Okay, I just want to continue on to the next page of the PDF, which is page 6. And I appreciate you're seeing this for the first time, Minister, and I understand that's difficult. But this appears to be a spreadsheet entitled 2022 Freedom Convoy Tips, has a column for tip, for date, for customer name, and preliminary findings. And I'd just like us to slowly scroll to the very end of all of these PDFs, looking at the dates as we can, as it goes by. Yeah, you can keep scrolling. That's a good pace. So we've seen February 23rd, keep scrolling. Now we see February 24th, and keep scrolling. I think there's one more page. We'll get to the end here. Oh, another page, more February 24th. Keep going, yeah. So the last one is number 9. Okay, go up a little bit. And this would appear to indicate that the last tip in the spreadsheet was received February 25th. There's a description, I gather, of the preliminary investigation at this point. So, you know, it appears, and I appreciate your viewing this for the first time, that FCC was still investigating tips relating to the Freedom Convoy 2022 as of February 25th. And I don't know when it stopped investigating tips, and I expect you may not know either. Is that fair, Minister?
With real respect, I have to say, I think these are questions for FCC and not for me.
Okay, I expected you might answer that, and that's a fair answer. Aside from FCC, can you identify any other federal financial institutions which were subject to the order for us?
The order applied to all financial institutions across the country.
Okay. No, that's fair. It was a privilege to speak with you, Minister. Thank you very much for answering my questions.